Hey everybody, this is Kasea Bauscher from the RPM Podcast. Planning an event and looking for a great time? Go no further than RC2U Racing for all your portable family entertainment. RC2U turns any occasion into a competition. Check them out online at rc2uracing.com.
All right, this is segment 4 of the RPM Podcast. We're still at the Motorsports Show in Oaks, PA. We had Dino Alberto on from Mahoney Valley. We had Scott Adams on from Evergreen Speedway. Now we got Kasea Bauscher on from Big Diamond Speedway. I got to know Casey from when I was racing in Enduro cars up there, and he's coming to talk about their schedule. Their schedule just came out. Last night it came out?
Last night it finally got released.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't get the memo.
It was on Facebook. Everybody got the memo.
It was on Facebook. Unfortunately, the way times are now, things aren't released in an official manner. Pretty much, it's all via social media.
Yeah.
So it did get released. The tentative, because anything can change at any moment, but the tentative schedule did get released last night, and it's now out there for everyone to see.
I was surprised it took you guys so long to get a schedule out. I know there's a lot to it, and it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is. It's kind of like everybody waits for someone's schedule to come out, and then everybody bounces off their schedule. But the reason why I'm a little surprised yours didn't come out so fast is because you guys end your season a lot earlier than most racetracks. Usually by the first weekend of September, you guys are done.
Yes. Unfortunately, in Schuylkill County, you deal with high school football. That's very big up in that area, and our attendance goes down significantly if we run into September and October. So with that being said, that's why our season ends Labor Day weekend, because shortly after that, football season starts.
Josh, I think I even talked about that on our show. A lot of people down by me, like when I, usually the enduro races, the last enduro race you have up there is the last weekend of August, and people are like, well, how many more races you got to go up there? And I said, well, that's it. They're done for the year. They have one more big race, which is their coal cracker weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you guys,
Yep.
We have the annual turkey derby up at their track. It's called the Coal Cracker, which I think is a cool name because it's in coal country up there. The enduros are done the week before that weekend, and people can't believe that you guys end so early. And I tell them, I said, listen, this is why they race. First of all, they race on Friday nights, and high school football is so popular up there, and then high school football plays on Friday nights that they can't compete with it. So they actually, after Labor Day weekend, they're done once the high school football gets really rolling up there.
Right. And years past, before our track owner now owned the track, and it was owned, privately by someone else, they tried running Sundays. And I think, this is my personal opinion, I think that the issue you run into with Sundays is, for one, you're in a blue-collar area. So you deal with a lot of people that work early on Monday mornings. Plus, add in the economy in which we're in, people spend their money on races on Fridays or football games on Fridays. They go to the races on Saturdays.
They're broke on
By Sunday, they're done.
They're broke. I do agree with everything you say there. Another thing with the dirt racing, come September, October, you start getting all these big races all over the country.
Absolutely.
So you're competing against all these big end-of-year events. So a lot of by you guys ending after Labor Day weekend, it's good for your modified and sportsman drivers because now they can go to other tracks and race for these big purse races.
Absolutely. I mean, you have the 76er at Grandview, which is a kind of a Friday, Saturday deal. So that takes out one weekend. Now Fonda's running their Fonda 200 for the second year in a row. It's a Friday. It's, I believe, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday deal. So that takes that out. But then you get into October and you have Super Dirt Week. You have Eastern States Weekend, which is a 3-4 night deal. Bridgeport runs a couple of Friday, Saturday back-to-back shows. You're conflicting schedules with everybody else, and it's just not to your benefit. Your car counts are going to go down, which your fans are going to go elsewhere for bigger money races with bigger names and more cars. It's the way of the business.
Yeah, it's almost like a perfect storm up there for you guys to end Labor Day weekend on September like you've been doing it. To me, it just feels strange because it feels like I could squeeze a couple more enduros in up there, but it's fine, it works. But you guys do start early. I mean, you start a lot earlier than most tracks up in Northeast Pennsylvania does. I mean, you already have the practice date is scheduled for March 29th.
Yep.
Which is on a Sunday.
Yep.
They have a whole day of practice. You can bring anything there and practice in all the divisions that they race at Big Diamond. And then what I like at the end of practice, they have an enduro.
Yep.
And that's the first 2 weekends. It's March 29th, and I think the second one's April 7th or April 6th or something like that. Whatever the following Sunday is, they have another complete practice day, and they end with an enduro.
Yeah, I think it's the 5th. We also have the Blast from the Past vintage cars are running a feature that day too.
Right.
On both of those dates.
Right.
So it's the last Sunday in March and the first Sunday in April, and then the schedule actually kicks off April 10th, the second Friday in April. But the one good thing I will say about having a shortened season is this. If you compare like the NFL to Major League Baseball, right? Major League Baseball's schedule runs from April
162 games
April
or
to October, right?
Yeah.
So baseball fans casually go here and there, right? Football fans in a shortened schedule go constantly because that season is short.
It's over before you know it.
We have 22 Fridays on our schedule, 22 Fridays. So we've jam-packed literally as much as we could into every Friday. Most of the times we're looking at 5 divisions every Friday. Some we have 6. So it's a lot of racing all in one, which, you know what, for the fans that attend, it's a good bang for their buck. They're getting a lot of stuff under that dollar amount they're paying to get in.
Right.
You know what's cool about Friday racing, too? I just had Scott Adams on before, and he had Evergreen. Evergreen played around with the Friday night of racing. It's a tough night. It either works or it doesn't. Where Scott said it didn't really work at Evergreen because the most people that race there travel from New Jersey or longer distance to get there. So it was hard for them to travel there on Friday night. But I noticed driving in the Big Diamond Speedway, right down the town, right before you get to the racetrack, I see race cars in people's backyards right down the street from the racetrack. So you have a lot of local people there, so it's easier for them to get there on Friday. Plus, you guys start late, too. Like, even from me leaving from New Jersey, I don't really have to kill myself to get there. Number one, I run an enduro, so we don't race to the end of the night anyway.
Right.
But they really don't get going until 7:30 anyway.
Right.
You know? So it gives yourself some time to get there. There is pros and cons of Friday night racing. One of the pros is if that's the only racing you do, like say if I had a road runner and all I did was race at Big Diamond Speedway, I race on Friday, I work a half day or whatever, get out of work at 3 o'clock, go to the racetrack, race. My racing's done on Friday night. Now I got the weekend to myself.
Exactly. And we do, as you said, you drive outside the track and here's a street stock, here's a road runner,
cool.
here's a modified.
Well, Scott has a habit of almost crashing his tow truck by staring off into people's backyards.
I definitely look for race cars and parts cars. I stare in people's backyards way more than I should.
But it's amazing. I've gone to different tracks for years, and I would be like, oh, well, this guy's from this town and this town, and oh, they're really close. And I never really thought about Big Diamond until you actually just mentioned it. I want to say 75% of our racers live within 20 minutes of the track.
Right. And that's why Friday nights work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys don't run anywhere else on Saturday.
Yeah.
They just run Friday nights.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool. It keeps it the hometown thing.
Now, me being an enduro racer, when your schedule first came out, what I do is automatically scroll down and see how many enduros are there, or even if you're having enduros first. And this year, last year you had 5. The year before that you had 5. This year you have 6 on the schedule. So
right.
I was very happy to see 6 on the schedule. I think that's a perfect amount. I think it's a great thing that you're having 6 enduros. I don't know if it's not listed on your schedule or if it's just not happening. I always look at your road runners too, because our enduro cars are getting kind of close to your road runners, where I think if I put a set of road runner tires on, I don't think I can go out there and win, but I think I can go out and stay mid-pack and have some fun. So I always look to see if you're having like a long-distance road runner race where I can maybe bring my enduro car up there, get a set of road runner tires, and just have some fun racing with them. I didn't see any long-distance road runner races. Do you know if they're having anything like that this year?
No. The only thing we're having that you could really consider to be a long-distance roadrunner race this year is we brought back the Crazy Eights.
I saw that. What is a Crazy 8?
So,
I don't know what that is.
Actually, until this morning, I was confused as well. I hear the number 8 in there, and I think it's a figure 8. Well, it's not. It is not a figure 8 race.
Let me guess. And then I was like, well, maybe they're having 8 races at 8 laps. I don't know.
4 features.
Okay.
8 laps apiece.
Okay.
And I'm not sure on the description of that as far as if there's an invert after each feature or how that's going to work, but I would think there's some type of invert.
You guys never done it before,
usually
or you have done it before?
They've done it at Big Diamond before I was there.
Okay.
So just like you see modified races have twin 20s or triple 20s, there's usually some kind of pill draw, 4, 6, 8, or 10, and that's your number of cars that get inverted. Something to that effect, I'm assuming, is going to take place. If not, I can't see it being highly entertaining if you're not inverting after the feature win. But it's going to be 4 features in one night, 8 laps apiece, and from what I understand from past attendees, it gets pretty exciting.
I might have to bring the old 7X up for that one.
Yep. And you could definitely, Scott, I've seen you race now for, 2-3 years, running Enduros, and you can handle a car very well. There's no reason you would not be able to compete in a Roadrunner class.
Right.
There's no reason. No way.
But the only thing that kind of makes me not want to do it, I mean, I want to do it. I would just be afraid if I brought my Enduro car up there, put Roadrunner tires on and ran as a road runner, then you might not let me back to the Enduro division. Do you think there'd be a problem there or no?
That is something that well, honestly, it's a good question.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Because I'm not building a Roadrunner. I'm just putting better tires on my Enduro car. Like, it's still an Enduro car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and that would be something we'd have to talk about,
Yeah.
in more depth and figure out what the best way about that is.
Yeah.
But as far as, how well you've dominated our Enduro division, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't be able to succeed with Roadrunner.
Right.
Yeah.
I just, from traveling up from New Jersey, the reason I love your Roadrunner division. I think it's one of the coolest divisions ever. It's like our factory stocks at Wall, Josh, but on dirt. I love it. The only reason I haven't switched fully over to a Roadrunner car, I have thought about it. Trust me, I have, because I do like it. And I got to know the Reicherts and all those guys through the Enduros. Number one is Nancy likes doing the Enduro, so I got her an Enduro car. We like racing together. I think it's great for the racetracks to promote a husband and wife racing on the same track. Another reason why I am traveling up from New Jersey, and it's nice to drive 3 hours away and race 50 laps and not 15 laps. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of stick with the Enduros too.
Yes. I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, a Roadrunner division runs 6 laps for their heats and 20 laps for their feature, you're getting 26 laps as opposed to 50, as you're saying with Enduro. But you're also talking about an Enduro where there really isn't a point system.
Right.
It's just a nightly thing. Roadrunners, you're looking at an entire schedule. I mean, Roadrunners have 22 races on our 22 Friday night schedule,
Which is awesome.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And I hope that pulls a lot more cars than we've gotten in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I think it will, but you're also talking to committing every Friday too,
Right.
not just 6 Fridays.
Plus, that's another thing too, because I travel up there. I usually work a half a day. Nancy usually works half a day. We'll leave out of our house in Manchester around 2, 3 o'clock to get up there. We usually get up there about 6 or 7, depending on Friday traffic and what we hit on the way up there. But we have time to get there, because worst comes to worst, we just miss those 4 or 5 laps of practice, and where if I ran a Roadrunner, I have more pressure to get there on time because I have to run a heat race, where the Enduro race I can show up a little bit later.
Right. Plus, you also have to run hot laps too.
Yeah, hot laps and stuff like that. So
exactly.
So now I'm leaving at noon to get up there. I mean, plus I run Enduros. I run that car elsewhere, so I have an Enduro car. But I do love the Roadrunner division. But that's why I was looking at your schedule to see if you maybe, because I thought you guys had like a 40-lapper one time last year or something like that for the Roadrunners.
I don't think we did. I believe the street stocks may have.
Yeah.
But Roadrunners, as far as I can recall in the past couple of years, haven't had a big race. And you know what? And maybe that's something that we can take away and from this conversation and think, maybe we need to put something on that schedule. And do even if it's a 30-lapper,
right.
And just make a longer distance Roadrunner race and try and build that up.
I know at Wall Stadium, like maybe not now, but when I was growing up there, I just remember them saying each division has one major night at our track where you're the main attraction. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like even the street stocks. All right, this is a street stock night. You're going out in the first practice. You're the first set of qualifying races. You're the first feature. You're the 50-lapper. You're the main attraction tonight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of cool to give a division their special night.
We have – I do know there is, or there at least last year there was, a Roadrunner race that paid an extra amount to win.
Right.
But as far as extra distance, I don't believe it was.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong. It may have been an extra 5-10 laps, but there was a race that did pay – a specific dollar amount to win.
Yeah, I think it was like $777.
Like $681 or something weird.
There was someone sponsored.
It was some odd dollar amount.
Yeah.
But yes. But you know what? You are correct. There should be every other division we have does have a specific night that is dedicated to them, basically, in a showcase event. So that is something that I'm going to take away from this conversation and look into and see what we can do.
Another thing is, too, why not have a little bit of a point system for the Enduros? They do have 6 races. I mean, it doesn't really have to cost the track anything. Just maybe have a point system and at least, come banquet time, just to give like the top 5 trophies or something like that. At least they'll come and buy a banquet ticket.
So here's what happens with that, and I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
The problem that it comes down to is how many races did you guys run last year?
4, and it ended up being 4. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So with only having an X amount on the schedule, and you run into rainouts.
Yeah.
And
next thing you know, you have a 3-race racing
exactly.
series. Yeah.
Or you run into, okay, well, we had 1 and you won, so you're the point champion. And it's kind of.
I just figure,
It runs into that issue as opposed to other tracks where, Grandview has their Outlaw Series, which is great, but it's dedicated to a separate night, a separate day,
and it's 10 races.
Yeah. That's where the difference plays in there.
Well,
but if we can secure a sponsorship who would be willing to put up something to do that, we're not going to tell them they're crazy.
Yeah, right. It's easy to keep track of points. The reason I don't really complain about it much is because sometimes points takes the fun out of racing too. I kind of like going up there and not worrying about points and just racing. You know what I'm saying?
You add strategy into things.
Yeah.
You're not. Are you being strategic when you start your 50-lap enduro and there's no points? Not necessarily.
You're just racing.
You're trying to get to the front.
You're just racing.
And you're not. Oh well, if I finish 5th, I win the points today. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
That's where that comes in.
Well, just putting it out there, I consider myself the enduro track champion at Big Diamond Speedway this year.
You've been for what, 2.5 years? Honestly, I can say I've worked there. This will be my 4th year, and I don't think I've seen anyone else win an enduro but Scott Riddleman.
I tell you what, there was a couple nights I didn't think I was going to win. That one night, Lee Allen in the 1C, one of the Reicherts, were out front.
Yes.
Then they got wrecking each other. I'm like, go ahead, take each other.
And Lee Allen is tough to pass.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
But it's funny you bring that up because, like I told you earlier, I recall in your podcast you had brought up about the press release that Big Diamond did on their Facebook page about how you were the man to beat or whatever. Yeah, I was the one who typed that. and I'm sitting there listening to this podcast, and I'm like, oh no. He thinks we're going to strip his car, tech him 3 times, tear apart his motor.
They have teched it. They have teched it, though, Another thing I noticed on your schedule, too, is I seen the numbers quite a bit, 602s.
Yes.
Like Sportsman versus 602. Is that something new? Or?
So, new to Big Diamond this year will be the 602 Crate Sportsman Division. 602s are huge. Bridgeport runs 602 Crate Sportsmans. New Egypt has a class. A lot of your New York tracks all run 602 crates. The Open Sportsman Division, I think, is dwindling down.
Okay.
Grandview still runs Open Sportsmans. New Egypt still has I believe they're called the Hammer Sportsman. I believe that's their Open Sportsman Division. And we wanted to look to see if we can bring more cars to the track. And 602 crates are booming.
Yeah.
They are everywhere. I mean, Super Dirt Week this past year, if I'm not mistaken, had over 100 602 crate cars. It's so big, and it's simple. It simplified everything. It's a crate car. It's a crate motor. You're not tinkering it, basically. So now we're going to have our Open Sportsman class this year. We're also going to have the 602 class as well. So 602s are on the schedule, I believe, 14 times, and the Opens are 13 times. They both have 3 or 4 1,000 to win or more races. And there's also 3 nights where they're going to compete against each other. It's a combined show, basically.
Right.
So, I mean, we're looking to get more cars. We're looking to see if we can build that division up as well and go from there.
I also see you have some pretty big modified races. I think the opening night is like a 4,000 to win night, and it's a lot of money. It's just like a 30 lapper or something too, 4,000 to win. So that's some pretty good money you're opening opening it up with, and then of course the coal cracker. That pays like $10,000 to win. Right?
17.
Oh, you're up to 17.
17 last year, 17 this year, 17,000 to win.
Where's that number come from?
I think.
There's got to be some type of formula. Well, we sell 1,200 hot dogs. We can.
I think it comes from our sponsor, to be honest, Jack Rich Incorporated. They help us a lot with that race, and I think that's coming from them. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, we have again, we have 22 Friday nights to run from beginning to end, and we have 8 modified races that are going to pay $4,000 or more.
Right.
I mean, we open our season with the $4,000 to win. Second week is Money in the Mountains. Money in the Mountains gives you $10,000 to win.
How cool a name is that, Josh? Money in the Mountains for a race.
And if you've ever been to Big Diamond, you are in the middle
You're in the
of the mountains.
I told Josh, I don't know if you heard this podcast, I said the first time I pulled in the Big Diamond, I felt like I wasn't even supposed to be back there.
Yes.
It's like, because down by us, we all had quads and motorcycles when we were kids. We were starting to run out of places to ride motorcycles down by us because everything was getting built houses,
Right.
So we used to sneak in the gravel pits to go ride the motorcycles.
Right.
And when I pulled in your gate, it felt like I was sneaking into a gravel pit to go drive my race car,
Yes, you're exactly right. It's a good quarter of a mile till you can see a racetrack, as opposed to if you drive by New Egypt, there's a big giant race car sitting on the road. You can see it from the road. Yeah, Big Diamond, it feels like you're driving into someone's private driveway. And let me tell you, if you pull into the wrong driveway, you will hit a house. Yes. So
someone told me their GPS brought them up behind the racetrack. Is that possible?
has happened. So it all depends. Now,
I never went that way.
I haven't used
My one friend said I pulled in there one time and I came up and I was on the back straightaway.
I haven't used the GPS since I've been working there. Obviously, I'm there too much to know not how to get there, right? But so the one night we were sitting there inside the pit gate, signing people in, and all of a sudden I look to my to the right is the pit gate, right? To my left, I see a Mustang convertible driving. Now, we don't allow personal vehicles in unless you're towing a trailer. We don't allow them on the pits. Here comes this convertible Mustang, and where did this thing come from? So I stopped the guy, and I'm like, where are you going? I'm trying to get to the parking lot. Well, it's over there, but how did you get in this way? Well, that's where my GPS took me.
Yeah.
There's actually, you know how to navigate it. There's a way in that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And that's how his GPS took him in
I
through
tell you, one
the
of my
back of the pits.
The first time I went up to the race, I invited my friend Ron and Amanda to go. We go there every year for the coal cracker. They're like, don't follow your GPS. I'm like, why is that? He's like, because it brought us onto the back straightaway of the racetrack.
Yes, there is a way.
I know I'm not a local up there because I take a different way into the racetrack. When I get into town, everybody makes this one left past where
the Turkey Hill.
Yeah, the Turkey Hill. I go straight into town.
The Turkey Hill, and honestly, I could tell you how to get there from the Turkey Hill, and you would not believe how easy it is.
I followed a guy one time, and I didn't really like that way. And I go through the town. I don't know why everybody doesn't go through. I followed a guy that back way, and it was a little difficult. And then I noticed one time a guy made a left at the Turkey Hill, and I went the way I went, and we kind of pulled into the racetrack at the same time. So it wasn't that big of a difference. So I just go the way I know.
The only thing that stinks about either way, really, is because you were on the same road for so long to get to the track.
Yeah.
If you are a fan, or in my case, an employee, and you get stuck behind a trailer, you're stuck behind a trailer.
Yeah. I thought the guys towing the trailers just made the left at Turkey Hill and went in the back way because they didn't like going through the town there.
The only difference really is depending on which way you go, when you get to the track, you're either making a left or you're making a right.
Yeah.
And if you go the way where Turkey Hill is, you're going to end up making a right in the track.
That's the only difference. Which is true because when I make the left in, it's kind of a blind left turn because the cars are coming up over a hill.
Yes.
So it's a little difficult
and
to make
and depending on when you're getting there and you got a line of haulers or you got fans trying to get there, you're going to sit there for a while.
Now, do you know the history of the racetrack? Is it built in an old coal mine? Because when I walk around there, if you look in the ground, there's actually chunks of coal.
Yes, there is.
Yeah?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And down, we even talked about this on the podcast, down at the end on the right-hand side, there's still like old mining equipment and stuff like that,
Yep.
So it's pretty cool up there in that area.
And that's been sitting there as long as I can remember. And I was going there in the early 90s as a kid. and it's pretty much been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we noticed on your schedule this year, I'm assuming it's a motorcycle thing, but you got something called like a hair scramble or something like that. Is this something new you're trying?
So it's funny you mentioned that. Last year, our announcer at the time, Tim Pitts, was announcing this District 6 hair scramble, and I looked at it and I'm like, is this some type of like rabbit race? I had no idea what a District 6 hair scramble was. So I Googled it, looked it up, and sure thing, it's like a motocross thing where they like, I'm guessing, I don't have to be there for those events. I'm guessing they drive through parts of the woods, and it's Big Diamond again sits in the middle of a mountain, and it's surrounded by woods. There's bears that roam the property, and I'm guessing they go through some type of path through the woods. I actually think I want to get up there for one of those this year and just see what it's all about. But yeah, it's some type of motocross type race.
And we were talking about this with Scott Adams from Evergreen that, they have a whole schedule of drifting events to help the cost, the cost. Right. So for you guys bringing in like a motorcycle thing like that, it's got to help the cost, and you're not trying to get money from the same racers that come every week. Now you're getting a whole new group of racers, a whole different style of racing, and you're getting some new money coming into the racetrack.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're bringing a whole fan base of people who may not know about dirt racing but love motorcycles.
Right.
It's the same thing as like Williams Grove is bringing in their motorcycle races into the track.
So is New Egypt.
Same kind of thing,
yeah,
right?
They're doing flat track racing.
Exactly. Same kind of thing where you may bring this in and you're like, oh, whoa, what's this?
Yeah.
Oh, well, this place. Oh, I got to Google the address, and then you pull. Oh, it's a picture of modified. Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing.
Well, Scott Adams was saying that they're already seeing crossover from the drift. Like they're seeing some of the same people from the drift event at the regular racing now, and they're seeing the regular racing people at the drift event as well.
If you think about dirt racing, especially sprint cars, late models, and modifieds, and drift racing, it's kind of one and the same.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't quite get the drifting thing, though. Me and Josh aren't a big fan of the drifting. It's not our cup of tea, that's for sure.
If we're drifting, we have a problem with our setup.
It's basically the same thing as watching a sprint car throw a slider.
Right.
Yeah.
Except a lot more smoke.
Right. That's all it is. It's the same tire. Your tires are spinning basically the same, just burning up on asphalt instead of burning up on dirt.
But what I understand about the sprint cars, he's racing for 25 laps, and the first one that crosses the line wins.
Yeah.
The drifting, it's like
you have style points.
You're getting style points. Exactly right.
Who?
And then they also have they do have a really good social media presence, which we talked about a little bit earlier today with the drifting. All the different drifting series, whether it's Formula D or whoever, they do a lot between videos and promoting it. I mean, now I don't see that stuff all the time,
right?
Because that's not the pages I follow,
right?
But occasionally it does pop up, and you're like, whoa, they have a drone flying right over the car, and they're doing some really neat.
And I don't follow that either, to be honest. I'm not a big asphalt guy.
Right.
I'll catch NASCAR or on Sundays, and I'll see who wins, whatever. I mean, I have a favorite, whatever, but I'm not a huge asphalt guy. But drifting, you're just getting style points for what you can do.
It's a judged event.
It's basically what it comes down to. Yeah. But without Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, I don't know that it gets the commercial success that it does.
I agree.
Tokyo Drift, the Fast and Furious film, put that on the map.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Before that, it was kind of just like an underground kind of thing.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then now it's kind of mainstream to some effect, and
I think it's peaked, though, and I think it's kind of on the downside a little bit.
Are they right-sizing?
Yeah, they're right-sizing, just like NASCAR. Now, I talked to a few people up there that I've raced with, some of the old-timers up there, and they were telling me that Big Diamond used to be smaller. It used to do a quarter mile or something like that.
Not a quarter mile. So it tinkers between the 3rd and 3/8, where it was big, then it got small, then it got big, then it got small. And over the years of changing hands or just trying to improve the track, it's gone from one size to the other and back and forth.
I love the size of that track. I know you guys advertise it as a 3/8, but it's a big 3/8.
When we laid down the new clay last year, the 120 loads of 60% clay, and we lay down a lot. We moved the Uke tires out.
Okay.
And the key to that is if you keep them in, you got to lay more clay down, right?
Yeah.
So we moved them out to accommodate where the new stuff was, and it made it a little bit bigger. If you measure it, I don't know what you're going to get, but it's in between a third, 3/8. It's somewhere in that neighborhood.
But I'm just thinking, it's so wide. If you run the
Yes,
top of
it
that
is
track, it feels like a half mile to
It
me.
is
you know?
wide.
It
And
becomes a
now-
fuel mileage event depending which lane you take.
And that, well, we're not going to have fuel mileage issues anymore because we switched from running alcohol or gas to gas only.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no more alcohol, no more fuel stops for our big lap races, which are going to be fantastic. Because as a racer, Scotty can tell you, it kills momentum. Now you're adding, air pressure to your tires. You're fueling up. Now that is out of the question. So now these long distance races are going to be all straight through, no fuel stops, no guaranteed pit kind of thing. But now that we just laid more clay down this past off season in the turns, now the track's going to be even wider.
I know, which I'm kind of happy about because I like running the same car out of all these tracks, and with Bridgeport going to a half mile, I'm like, oh, now I'm going to have to change rears. But now if you guys are getting a little bit wider and they're getting a little bit smaller, we're kind of meeting in the middle, and then Grandview's basically the same
I'm getting
thing.
a little bit wider.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I tell you what, when I first pulled into Big Diamond Speedway opening day last year, I looked at the track and I said, wow, this place looks different. It was a different color, and I wasn't happy. I'm like, man, my car ran so good here. Now they got new clay out here. I don't know what. I didn't even know you guys were putting new clay on it. And I'm like, oh, my God, this ain't going to work. This is going to suck. I go out there, and it was the best surface I ever raced on in my life. It was so good.
And the dust went down, didn't it?
Dust went down. Everything went down. It was perfect. Can you tell, me and Josh, I grew up 2 miles from All Savings, so of course I grew up with asphalt. He's raced asphalt. Can you tell us a little bit about where clay comes from and what's the process of getting it to go on a dirt track?
So the majority of clay comes from quarries.
Right.
Now,
We always had it. It was when they dredged like the rivers and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
like back in the 1850s, right? Yeah. No, honestly, it just comes from quarries. You just got to get in contact with the right people. We did the right thing and got a hold of the guy who does the track prep for Lincoln at Lincoln Speedway, and found out, hey, can you get us in contact with your clay guy? And the stuff we had down 2 years ago was minimal clay. It was a lot of dirt. It was very dusty, as anyone that has been there can tell you. It was very dusty.
Was that like a local clay, or was that from far away, or
I'm
2
not
years
sure
ago? 2
where-
years ago, when
I'm not sure where that came
Okay.
from. But it was unique. But it also absorbed water and became muddy really quick.
Right.
And that's, if you look, 3 years ago and 2 years ago, we had a combination of 21 rainouts, and it just destroyed our season. That's a lot of rainouts for people that only run 5 months of the year. So we got in contact with the guy who runs Lincoln, the guy who does his track prep, and hey, can you get us in contact with your clay guy? Went to the same quarry that Lincoln does and got this stuff that's literally, Scotty, I went there in November of the off season before last year, and I put 1 foot in one side and 1 foot on the new stuff, and it was a significant difference.
Right.
You could pick up the new clay and literally roll it in your hand like Play-Doh.
Right.
It was 60% pure clay,
Yeah.
which is huge. So now the benefits of that are you're picking up traction, your speeds are going up, and the fans don't have to deal with the dust,
Right.
which is huge.
And what I liked about it too, there was like no rocks in it.
No.
So, a couple of times these old clays, it gets rocks in there, and you're getting hit with rocks.
We had a little bit of an issue with that at the beginning of the season, as some guys will admit to, and I'm not going to hide that. We did.
Yeah.
So guys were cutting tires, and we took care of it.
Yeah.
Guys are cutting tires. We have a problem. We're going to solve it. So we went out there and siphoned all of it, basically, as much as we could. Siphoned it, got all those rocks out of there. The rest of the year, we didn't hear anything about any tire issues. So you're right, it was rock-free.
I always wondered too, because every time I come home, especially with 2 cars, I got at least 2 wheelbarrows of clay in my car, and I dump it out behind my garage. Is like during the course of the year, do you have to reapply clay to make up for the clay you lost?
So normally when any track resurfaces like we did last year, is you buy extra loads.
Right.
because it will happen.
Yeah.
If it's
Can Scott sell it back to you at a premium?
Let's bring it back in buckets.
what he should do is leave it on his car and just roll the car off and drive it on the track. It'll sort itself out.
I bet you I lose a bunch going down the Pennsylvania Turnpike, too.
I bet you do. But generally, when tracks resurface like that, you want to get extra loads of clay because you're going to have issues where, we have wingless super sportsmen on the schedule this year. We have ARDC midgets, which are wingless. We have USAC East Coast 360s, which are wingless. If a wingless car goes over and their roll cage hits that clay, what's going to happen? That thing's going to chunk it.
Yeah.
And the same thing is going to happen when you have 30 modified show up for a night. And over the course of heat races, they're going to wear that stuff in. And you will have dust, but it's not going to be insignificant. So you have to have something to replenish it with.
Uh-huh.
So, like I say, we prettied up the corners this offseason with 20 loads of clay. You got to get some in the offseason. You have to, because it will dissipate over time.
Right.
I mean, I've seen tracks lay new clay and not have it deep enough. And after a couple of races, all of a sudden you look over in turn 3 and you're like, why is that section of turn 3 a different color? Mm-hmm. Well, that's the old stuff.
Yeah.
They burned through and moved what was the new stuff.
Right.
So you got to go deep enough. You got to mix it. And you got to make sure that you have something set aside to lay down over the course of time.
Sounds like a lot of work, Josh. I think that's why we like our asphalt tracks.
Yeah.
They blow it off when we race on it. You know what I'm saying?
And because we like enduros, we'll race it wet, too. So it's none of that, it's raining, these crybabies.
This is my theory. When it comes to racing and it comes to asphalt and it comes to dirt, there's only one distinctive difference that you have to like or dislike. Do you like seeing the back end of a car kick out?
Right.
That's really all it comes down to. Does the back end kick out when it goes into turn 1 or turn 3?
Right.
An asphalt car doesn't. A dirt car has to.
Yeah.
For the most part, has to.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Do you like seeing cars get sideways or don't you? That's all it comes down to.
I can like both.
You absolutely can. You're exactly right.
I tell you what, though, when I'm there, I'm kind of weird. I kind of sit by myself and don't watch much of the race. And number one, because it's the end of the week and I'm tired from working all week and I just drove all the way up there. Then I know I'm not going to get home to 3 o'clock in the morning and I got to get up and unload the dirt stuff and load the asphalt stuff and go to Wall Stadium. So I kind of just, when I pull into your racetrack, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air to me. It's like I can take a break. I take a couple-hour break. My race car's at the racetrack. I don't have to tow any cars. The towing business is closed.
Yep.
I'm on to my race weekend. I kind of just sit in my truck and relax for an hour or two. But I did walk up and watch a little bit of the racing one time, and this is going to sound weird. You know what some of the best racing at your racetrack is?
I'm guessing it's not the push trucks.
No, the legend cars.
Oh, I love legend cars.
It's a big racetrack, and it's a dirt track, and I never thought the legend cars would put on a good race there, but the Central PA legend cars put on an awesome race there.
So what's funny, and I'm gonna flip over to my fan side of things for a minute. I first saw legend cars. I went to the old Susquehanna before it became BAPS for the short track Super Series race, and they had the legends as a supporting division. Now, as you know, Susquehanna is very big.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, well, these cars are tiny. These are tiny cars. And it was weird watching these tiny cars run on this big track. And I'm like, well, this is different, and it looks like the old style modifieds, like coupes and stuff, right? And I'm like, I don't know if I can get into this. Well, over time and going to different tracks, I caught them here and there. I'm like, these aren't that bad. They run these motorcycle engines, right? Well, then we get them on the schedule for Diamond last year, and I'm like, okay, well, it's crazy how quick they move.
Yeah.
And they run side by side.
It's good passing.
Oh, my God, is it ever?
Yeah.
Well, and that's one division that you really don't get to see go sideways.
Right. They kind of drive it like an asphalt track.
Right.
Yeah.
They remind me of, like, these big, powerful micro machines.
Yeah.
Right? But they're very exciting when they can definitely put on a show. Same with 600 modifieds the same way.
Actually, Casey, did you ever run on dirt with your legend car?
I practiced at New Egypt one
did?
time. My arms had never hurt so bad in my entire life after I got out of my car at New Egypt practicing. But No, mainly asphalt for me, but I thought it would be really cool. My boyfriend and I have talked about buying my legend car back from my dad to go dirt racing. Not quite sure how I feel about that, and I don't think my dad actually would sell me my car because he swears up and down it's staying in his garage.
Just buy another one.
Yeah, I'd love to if they didn't cost so much money, but maybe one day, you know. But no, asphalt all the way for me with legend cars.
I tell
One's
you
on
what,
New Egypt.
if you ever do get a legend car going again, that we were just talking about the Central PA Legend Car Series. They put on great racing shows, and they race all over the place.
Yeah.
It's something you should look into.
I actually, so Joe Ryan Osborne, I've known him for a really long time. I raced quarter inches with him, and I watched him. I don't even know how I watched this, but he was racing at BAPS for like the Dirt Nationals or something. And I was watching, I was like, why do they look like they're going so slow? Like, they're not slow. And then all of a sudden, Joe Ryan just like rips the top, and I'm like, oh, he went there. I went to the top and hopped the cushion, and that was the end of my dirt experience. I didn't hit the wall. I did not hit the wall. Shocker, right? Because I used to hit the wall all the time.
I will say, I think the one track to catch them at, and I can't, unfortunately, because of Friday nights, they run at Linda's.
Yeah, right.
That's got to be incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tiny track.
Exactly.
And which is perfect for legend cars. Legend cars belong on small tracks. My dad has said it. Wall, my dad feels like is so big and fast for legend cars. See, I like the road courses. Yeah. I like the fast. My dad will say that his favorite track to watch me race at and to go race at was Bethel.
Okay.
It's a quarter of a mile pavement. You know, it's tiny, and that's what my dad feel. I like the banking and.
But I agree with Casey's dad. I assumed the legend cars were built for a small racetrack, which they were. But when I saw them race at Big Diamond, it was the best race I seen. It was awesome.
And you would never
think they had a ton
that.
of them there. They had a ton of them there.
Yeah. They pull a ton of cars when they do their little touring series.
Yeah.
It's between Big Diamond, Grandview, and
Lincoln,
maybe? Yeah.
Lincoln has them.
Yeah.
Yep. I actually went to the Racing Extravaganza show for the first time ever last year, and there was like 20 of them there. And I was like,
it's almost like
why
here with
were all these cars
They're
not
everywhere.
at Wall? Like, where were they at? Because we didn't. Well, no, actually, we had quite a few cars when I was racing at Wall. Not so much anymore, but I was like, we got to get these guys converted to asphalt. And then I was like, dirt guys don't go back. It's usually the opposite way. So.
Does your boyfriend ever race at Big Diamond?
In his sprint car?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. We race, United Racing Club goes to Big Diamond twice.
Her boyfriend's Ryan Stillwagon.
Yes, yep.
Oh, I know who Ryan is.
Everybody knows who Ryan Stillwagon is.
There was a bad accident last year.
There
was a bad accident in turn
My boyfriend got injured at Big Diamond last year.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep. He was ripping the top.
Yeah, he was.
He ended up into the bunker in turn 2 and actually ended up tearing his PCL. Fractured his tibia and his leg, and a bunch of nerve damage. Yeah, I woke up to him screaming at 7:30 in the morning that I needed to drive him to the hospital. So I was like, wonderful.
Yeah, because he didn't go after the wreck,
did not.
right?
No, he thought he was okay. He was limping a little bit. He knew he was hurt.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been there, right? You wreck hard, and the adrenaline's pumping, and you have no idea until the next morning. He thought he was gonna get out of bed, walk downstairs, and go wash his car, and start putting it back together. And then he starts screaming my name at 7:30 that I gotta take him to the hospital. So I mean, it was good that he went because he really did do some serious damage, and I mean, he still feels it this day. But
so now we got 2 Caseys here. We got Casey Lynn Robicheau.
Yes.
Casey, but I know Casey's probably short on time because she's in the beauty pageant here at Miss Motorsports.
Good luck, by the way.
Thank you so much.
How's that going so far today?
It's going good. I mean, I'm glad to see we have more girls than we had last year. Last year was a little light. We had
I thought
11,
maybe the weather would hurt your girl count.
I thought so too. We did have a few girls not come because of the weather, but we did have some last-minute sign-ups this year, which is awesome. We have 14 great girls. We just wrapped up interviews, which is always my favorite part because, I like talking. But no, I really like interacting with the judges and, saw some familiar faces in there, which is always like a nice breather when you go in there and you see some people that you know. But nope, the pageant starts at 7:30 tonight. We got to be backstage at like 6 or something, I think, to start getting ready. There's going to be a bunch of T-shirts being thrown out this year, which is really exciting. We're doing something different. We got the asphalt modified up on the stage, and
Whose car's on the stage? Do you
It
know?
is Nick Bears
Okay.
from
The 41.
Yeah,
Yep.
he races at Mahoning and Evergreen. Aqueduct is the sponsor again this year, so I'm glad to see an asphalt modified on stage. I feel like I have a slight bit of an advantage. Of course, the girls posed on it last year, but I feel like I have a little bit of advantage when it comes to the asphalt cars because I know my way around them pretty good. But no, the pageant's always a good time. You make a lot of good friends. The girls are always really nice and supportive of one another, and that's really what we need going into this sport.
Now,
know?
will you be doing any other pageants this year at the other shows?
I'm gonna see how this one
Yeah,
goes.
well, if you win this one, you're done. If you win this one, you're done.
I'm hoping not have to do another pageant this year. But no, I do plan on running for Miss Racing Extravaganza if it doesn't pan out here.
Okay.
So I've never done that pageant. Like I said, I went to the show for the first time last year. Didn't go to the pageant, but went to the cornhole tournament because race car drivers love cornhole. So went there.
What did
had a
you
great
learn today?
time. Yeah, race car drivers love cornhole. But it seems like a really great show. A lot of the sponsors.
Where's that one at?
York, Pennsylvania.
Oh, York.
Yep.
That's a hotbed for sprint car racing and
Lincoln.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
They actually are sponsored by Wicked Energy Gum this year, the show, which is super cool because
Casey Kane's
Casey
sponsor.
Kane's
Yeah,
sponsoring
yeah.
the sprint car. Brent Marks' car is going to be on stage for his all-star ride with CJB this year, so that's really awesome and excited. I've never posed on a sprint car in a pageant, so I've posed on a dirt modified.
Your
I've posed
boyfriend
on
has
an
his
asphalt.
Yeah, but your
Sprint
boyfriend has a sprint car.
She said in a pageant.
In a pageant. Keyword in a pageant.
You,
Maybe at home she's
you
been on
act
it.
like he lets me pose in his car. No, he's like, put this shock on, please. No, I don't go to the shop too often. When I do, I am helping turn wrenches.
What is Ryan's plans this year for racing?
So he is president of the United Racing Club this year.
Get out.
Yep.
Nice.
So he's president. I do everything else. We have 21 points races, 22 scheduled races. We have one race with the ASCS Tour at Williams
Oh,
Grove.
cool.
It'll be on MAV TV, which is pretty cool.
Are they coming
cool.
back to your track this year?
Twice.
Twice?
URC's
Yeah.
coming twice, yep.
Yep. We'll be all over the place. We have a really cool schedule put together. We're going to the Greater Cumberland County Raceway in Maryland for the first time since 1995.
Oh, that's cool. That's
So
cool.
we're doing a Bedford Greater Cumberland weekend because they're only about 45 minutes
Oh,
apart
that's
from
nice.
each other.
That's nice.
Like a
So-
southern swing type thing. That's,
Yeah,
that's
it's,
pretty cool.
it's going to be pretty cool. I'm really excited, but we have 21, 22 races, and then I actually went full nerd because, I'm an engineer, and I created a spreadsheet of all the races I wanted to go to. I looked at all the track schedules and everything like that, and I have about 67 on there. Woo. Whether or not I make it to all of them will be the question, but I would absolutely love to.
Any tracks you've never been to before?
I've never been to the Greater Cumberland.
Yeah.
I really want to go to the Four Crown
Oh,
at
yeah.
Eldora.
I'm thinking about going to Four Crown as well. I've never been to Eldora
No, I've
either.
never been to
I've never
Eldora
been to
either.
Four
Eldora.
Crown, whoo.
And we're not racing Knoxville Nationals week, so
There you have it.
I'd love to go there. We're still undecided if we're going to East Bay, or at least I haven't heard if we're going down to East Bay for
Speed weeks.
Speed Weeks down there
Oh.
in February, which is coming up real quick.
Yeah.
I went to East Bay 2 years ago. That is one badass track.
Yeah.
I know Ryan's brother has ran there before. Ryan has never ran there before, but he gained a lot of confidence last year in his 360. So
I know your boyfriend races and your boyfriend's brother races.
yes.
Do they race together?
They do. So Robbie and Danielle, his wife, actually just welcomed their first daughter, Riley, in September. So this year he kind of did a very limited schedule. He only ran about 4 shows, but they do race together. Yes, they actually, on the last race of the year at Bridgeport, ran side by side for about 3 laps, and it gave me the worst anxiety I've ever felt in my entire life.
But
So
in other words, what I mean race together, do they race together in the fact where the cars are in the same race garage?
yes,
Or
yep. Actually, Fred Kennedy, he does a lot for the show. He does a lot for the Salmons family as far as any indoor shows and the motorsports show itself. That's their uncle. And he owns a trucking company where they do trucking repair. And our shop, I say our shop, like it's my car too. Our shop is
Well, we're going to sneak a legend car in that shop sooner or
he
later.
said I could have the loading dock. I was like, perfect. We have about 1, 2, 3, 4 cars, I think, on the ground. I know Robbie's championship car is hung from the ceiling.
Nice.
That's what's cool about
Yeah.
sprint cars. I ain't got to run this one no more. We'll hang it in the ceiling.
Yeah, it's really cool.
My indoor car's a little heavy
What
for
kind
that.
of heating system is in your shop?
I have no idea.
Is it warm
No
in there or
clue.
is it cold in there?
It's warm in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely warm in there. And then, I mean, we have the toter home, so that's parked out front. And
Is the shop in New Jersey?
it is. It's in Delanco.
Where's that at?
How do I explain this? It's like kind of next to Burlington, New Jersey.
Down that way?
It's about 25 minutes from Center City, Philly.
Last time I talked to you, you were living in North Jersey. Are you living in South Jersey now?
I do, yep.
Yeah.
Ryan and I live in a house together in Palmyra, so it's about 15 minutes outside of Center City. So our shop is only like 7 minutes away. So
That's perfect.
very, very easy to get to.
That's a
and
long way from Port Royal.
It is. It's a long way from everywhere but Bridgeport and New
But
Egypt.
Bridgeport, yeah.
I mean, Bridgeport and New Egypt are like, it's like going home to us. We're just like, all right, 45
How many races
minutes.
do the URCs have at Bridgeport and New Egypt?
This year for Bridgeport, so we do a weekend at Bridgeport. So our finale weekend is always held at Bridgeport, and it's the first weekend of November, and it's a Friday, Saturday show. And then this year we're also going back July 5th. So we're really excited because that track's being completely renovated.
I know, I can't wait.
And that's going to be awesome. I mean, I've seen some like sneak peek pictures
Yeah,
of
me
the
too.
banking.
Some of us have, yeah.
And it looks
They
it
usually
looks
get deleted pretty quick.
awesome. New Egypt, we don't go to as much. We went one time last year because we were part of a Brett Deyo show.
Okay, yeah. I
Oh,
was
you
there
were
that
on
day.
the Short Track Super Series
Yeah,
event.
Yeah.
I actually did the towing there that night.
That's
I
right.
had
Yep.
the flatbed there. That's
Yeah,
right.
we were part of that
was a
show.
Tuesday night or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When New Egypt runs the track itself, like we typically have not gone there. Not sure why, but I would love to go to New Egypt. Like I said, I mean, I grew up when I moved to New Jersey and I wasn't racing big cars yet. My dad and I would go to New Egypt, so it was always a lot of fun. And I love watching the 410s. The Jersey Rush there, unfortunately, got canceled last year, but that's always a good time too. So. No, I love going to Bridgeport, New Egypt. But like I said, we have a toter home, so the long rides back from Port Royal, the long rides back from Bedford, we get to sleep. So,
How did Ryan become so involved in the URC?
oh boy, he is like a URC junkie. It's very weird. Like, not weird in a bad way. He is the biggest fanboy of URC that I've ever seen in my entire life. He reads all of the history books. We have 2 history books at our house that we own that he reads constantly. And I don't know exactly how. I know his brother got involved when his brother was like 17 or 18 and raced for a long time. And Ryan basically quit racing altogether and was his brother's crew chief. And when they won the championship in 2012, Ryan was the mechanic of the year. And eventually he stepped back into racing. His motor builder, Ray, asked him to drive his 305. So he started going 305 racing, never ran full schedules or anything like that, but all of a sudden he started winning. And he was like really good. So he doesn't run 305s anymore. Now we've fully transitioned into 360. He did some 360 stuff. His brother got hurt 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and Ryan stepped in for a few races then. And ever since then, he's ran a few 360 shows. And last year we did, with the exception of him being hurt, for 5 races. We ran the entire URC schedule, and this year is no different.
Now, when both Ryan and Robbie race, do they go in the same truck or do they have separate trailers?
They have separate trailers. Yep. So Fred Kennedy owns Robbie's car. So they take Fred's toter home. Fred runs a 305 team as well. Last year he had Randy Wilbur drive. I'm not sure if Randy's driving this year. I think he is. I'm not sure. I haven't actually touched base with the 305 team in a while, but Fred has his own toter home. So usually Robbie's car goes in there, our car goes in our toter home, and like I said, very few and far between. I think Robbie ran Big Diamond. He ran Bridgeport at the end of the year. He ran New Egypt. So I'm not sure how many races Robbie's going to be doing, but it's always a fun time when the whole family gets together and goes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's cool.
very blessed to be part of such a great racing family. I mean,
Yeah.
Ryan and I met when we were much, much younger. And that's kind of how we reconnected on Facebook, because I was like, oh, I raced quarter midgets with him, and now, you know.
Oh, is
and
that how
it's-
you know him? Through
Yeah,
quarter midgets?
yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we raced at the same time, not in the same classes because he was in more advanced classes than I was. But
So he raced that little wall?
yes, he did.
Oh,
He raced
wow.
Little Wall, he raced Oak Lane, he raced Honeybrook. They traveled much more than me and my family did. Me and my family stayed in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Connecticut. They went to like California. They were all over the place.
Wow.
So, but I was scrolling Facebook one day and I was like, Stillwagon, like I raced with him, and I added him, and the rest is history. Now we live together and do a lot with URC. So
Do you ever think about doing something like that at Big Diamond with like quarter midgets or something like that?
No.
Putting in like a quarter midget truck?
We used to have Little Diamond.
Oh, did you really?
So, when the cars come out for hot laps
Yeah,
and the modifieds line up a little bit on an angle towards 1 and 2 and sportsmen on 3 and 4, that used to be Little Diamond.
Okay.
I remember as a fan watching 600 modifieds race on Little Diamond. But as far as having like quarter midgets there, I don't think it's in the cards at the moment. Never know. Something to bring up.
I just think it works well at Wall Stadium because like Casey raced quarter midgets at Wall Stadium. Then when she got older, she moved right into the big track, and she got a legend car and moved over. It's a good feeder system.
It definitely is, and you're seeing it less and less now, unfortunately. And the thing with asphalt is a lot of people run asphalt and quarter midgets because dirt and asphalt and quarter midgets there's really very little difference.
Right.
But then
That's what Paul
a
Harwood
lot
was
of
telling
people go to dirt after, so it's less and less. I remember when I was racing wall, like you had Eric Moriello, who I raced quarter midgets with. You had Jonathan Luray came from quarter midgets. Jonathan Mandato came from quarter midgets. All raced with me.
Johnny Gasco came from
quarter midgets.
quarter
midgets. I remember Johnny Gasco was racing like either my first or second year. It was his like last year's. But like you have those types of people, and then you have people like Ryan Flores, right. Who is in NASCAR, and he was helping Robert French, another driver from Wall who came from quarter midgets. He was helping Robert French when we were in quarter midgets. So like I've known Ryan for like, God, as long as I could remember. I actually never knew his name. I used to call him Jeff.
See, I actually had
like a Jeff.
We had Scott Adams' daughter on here. She's 12 years old.
Yep,
she's 12 years old, and she's racing with the regular divisions already. I said, Mackenzie, you realize I had to wait until I was 18 years old. When I raced at Wall Stadium, they didn't have quarter midgets.
Who didn't run a quarter midget?
I never ran a quarter midget.
No,
because
I never did.
They weren't there when I was a kid.
As far a lot of today's drivers all came through quarter midgets.
The only downfall in Casey,
most of them,
yeah.
I would say most of them.
The only downfall about quarter midgets, and Casey, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The only thing I notice about the kids that race quarter midgets, it seems like their big car career ends earlier because they've been racing for so long already.
I think it really depends on the person. Like I mean, you see people that continue all the way through. I mean, Joey Logano. I raced with Joey Logano in quarter midgets at Silver City in Connecticut. I think it really depends on the kid.
But I do notice.
And it depends on funds.
Yeah.
Because I would still be racing if my dad.
Now you're talking about Joey Logano, who ended up having a pretty sweet deal going on Penske, right?
Yeah.
But as far as, let's take somebody who ran quarter midgets who now runs like a 305 or runs a low-budget team.
Dominic Miller runs a 305. I ran quarter midgets with Dominic Miller.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, I notice I'm 46 years old and I'm still racing. I just noticed the kids that come out of quarter midgets, they make it to about 25 and then they're done. You know what I'm saying?
Look at how today's racing is evolving. We are now talking about a 12-year-old in New York who is going to be driving a big block modified.
Which I kind of disagree with, to be honest with you. It's borderline child abuse in my eyes.
It's going to be brutal.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's a lot of horsepower.
Mackenzie was here. She's racing a four-cylinder. And I almost don't like the fact that she's racing the regular four-cylinder division when they have a junior class there from 10 to 15-year-olds. I think she should stay in that, but they want to move her up into the big one.
I mean, it's the same thing, though, like with New Jersey, right? So, like, if you are 16 years old, you can get special permission from the state police based off of experience to run on the big track.
So I can tell you now. So one of our 602 sportsman drivers is 12 years old. He wants to run the Brett Dale race at Bridgeport, but needs special permission.
From the state police, yeah.
So as a track representative, I sent the letter of recommendation along with whatever else they needed to provide. It was like 6-7 things.
Yeah, no,
they had
New
to
Jersey
submit
State
to the police.
New Jersey State Police they are very, very serious when it comes to motorsports safety, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad personally never wanted me on the big track at Wall until I was of age, and that was just my dad wanting, not that I didn't have the experience or that he didn't trust I could do that, but
just being a dad.
Yeah, just being my dad. And I mean, same thing now. I honestly am convinced that he does not want me to race anymore because he wasn't there for my last wreck, and he got nervous because I got hurt.
Yep.
So I think that's why he doesn't want me racing anymore.
I know what the rules are, and I know what the laws are. I know you can put a 12-year-old kid in a big block modified, but me as being a parent, I would never put my 12-year-old kid in a big block modified.
Well, that was my dad, and I was like, Dad, I just want to go fast, Dad. Like, And that's why I tell my dad all the time. He always says he hates wall with legend cars, and I'm like, ooh, hi. And
You just got
I'm
good,
like,
Josh.
I was looking the other way. Don't worry. It's on camera.
You missed it.
It's gonna always be a constant discussion.
Yeah.
It's always
It
going to
will.
be, because you're
And-
going to have the
and talent-
generation of people who are going to be like, oh, well, my great-grandfather ran, and I'm not going to stop my 13-year-old kid from running too.
The biggest issue I see right now is why younger kids are moving up as fast as they are is because it's getting younger and younger to move up through the ranks.
Yep.
You have to be young.
Right.
You can't be
See, when I was growing up,
I'm almost 29. I have zero chance of getting into NASCAR as a 29-year-old anymore. You know, you need to be noticed by the time you're 12 years old, and you need to be coming through the ranks. And
see, and you're exactly right, because when I was growing up, I remember like Junior Johnson saying, "I'm looking for like a young 30 to 35-year-old driver," and now they're looking for a young.
Now you're looking for a young 12-year-old.
Perfect example is Stuart Friesen.
Yeah.
So I heard that the reason he cannot solidify himself in an Xfinity ride or even a Cup ride is because he's too old.
Yeah.
He's too old.
I mean, the same thing with Daniel Hemrick.
Yep.
You know, and
Perfect example.
I raced legend cars with Daniel Hemrick. I was actually, he won legend stock. I was racing with him one year, and he said, like, he asked me what I did for a living. I told him, you know, I'm in college to be an engineer, and he's like, don't drop out. He's like, because I have nothing to fall back on. He's like, you have something to fall back on. You know, and I mean, now he's in NASCAR, and I think he's running Xfinity Series. You know, Kenzie's pregnant, his wife. So
he's doing 21 races for Dale Jr. though in the Xfinity Series, which is a good.
But unfortunately,
I mean, it's not full-time Cup. At least he's going to be in a very good car for 20.
These guys want
100%.
development drivers so young.
Yeah.
And the minute you don't have to be successful in a truck or Xfinity car, but as long as you have potential and you're still within that age, we're going to move you up.
And you're bringing the cash.
Yep.
You're bringing the cash money, and the way to bring the cash money is get recognized when you're
Absolutely right.
So.
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad you did.
But I don't know. I still think 12 years old in a big block.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Too much.
What happens
but
when
know
you
what?
wreck somebody and that's all they do for a living? They run they run the Super Dirt Tour.
How's Stuart Friesen going to feel when a 12-year-old kid wrecks him on a Wednesday night when he's trying to race for 10,000?
You know what?
But then again, a 30-year-old guy can wreck him too. So what's the
I will
difference?
say, you know, Friesen,
Maturity
Shepard,
level comes into
Williamson,
play.
that 12-year-old's got a lot of living up to do before he can even before he can even touch Friesen, because they are just great drivers. I love watching them race, but no, I think.
It's
so
going to be
hard.
rough.
It's so hard. It's going to be rough on the kid, and you know what? You got to have tough skin as a race car driver, and you got to be willing to admit when you're wrong. I was really bad at that. But you have to gain the respect of your other competitors,
Right.
and in order for him to do that, he's going to have to. I hate to use the phrase "learn your role," but he's really going to have to learn his role. And I wish
I don't know.
I don't know
this
who this
situation.
is, but I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, I don't know who
know?
it is either. And who knows? I mean, the parents could be great parents, and they could
Hey,
be.
and he could be the next.
Could be the next Jeff Gordon.
He could be the next Christopher Bell,
Right.
I will even say,
Right.
because Christopher Bell has more talent in his pinky nail than I've seen in my
but
entire
what I'm
life.
saying, he could still be the next Christopher Bell winning 602 in sportsman races. I don't think he needs to be in a big block at 12.
Yeah.
But
I don't
it's
know.
the age development thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's
but
getting
It's
younger and
by
younger.
10 I want to be in here, by 12 I want to be here,
Yep.
by 14 they build this whole calendar thing out.
yeah.
And it's
Yep.
not a matter of just falling into it, it's trying to project it.
So,
Yeah.
Casey, are you telling me at my age 46 I'm not going to get a ride down south anytime
You know,
soon?
I hate to break it to you, Scott. I cannot tell the future, but I'm not feeling it right now.
Let me tell you right now.
So
I think
you
you
don't-
have a solid career going in the factory stocks at Wall Stadium, and your enduro skills are on point.
Let me tell you,
But
if Morgan Shepherd still gets a ride, if Morgan Shepherd still gets a ride, you still have a chance.
So,
Yeah, but he's
so
doing
Casey,
like
are you,
GoFundMe and Patreon and stuff.
so Casey, you're telling me Rick Hendricks not put me in the 48 car next year after Jimmy Johnson retires?
You always bring your gear to the track.
That's right,
They
right?
might need someone to fuel
Always
the car.
bring your
anyway.
bag, right?
I'm never gonna say never, Scott.
All right, so Casey, you're contestant number 12 in the pageant.
I'm contestant number 12. I'm like one of the last few to go. So I actually really wanted to be contestant number 1 this year. I was like, I will take number 1. Like,
you can take the 2 off of
Yeah,
that.
right?
Do you
Just
draw,
give it to me.
or do you?
So this year, actually, they have really awesome swag bags for the contestants. And Donna Miller threw all the swag bags on the ground, randomly pulled out a card from her pocket and said, okay, this person, pick your bag, and your badge is in your bag.
Oh, okay.
So
Why would you want to go first and not 12th? I think you'd be better off going later in the contest.
So I like setting my own pace, right?
Yeah.
I don't like to compare myself to others. I never have. I think that what I bring to the stage is, authentically me. And I rather that be one of the first things the judges see rather than having to compare me to other girls. Like I said, they're all great, but I rather set the bar and have them try and match me rather than me try and play catch up. There's also very few poses you can do on an asphalt modified, and I want nobody to take mine, even though I feel like it's going to be very, very difficult. So
I've thought of one, but I'm not going to.
I should just get in and pretend like I'm driving. I mean,
That's another one.
Get it started up. You'll really get everybody's attention then.
Yeah, yeah. And go over to Nick and be like, I'm pressing your ignition. Don't be scared. But no, 1-12. It is what it is. I'm excited to be in the pageant again this year. It will be, I'm going to say this, it will be my last year. I'm getting older, and I feel like I can't compete with these 18-year-old bodies no more. They're beautiful. So
she says it now.
I do.
Next year she'll be here again doing it.
It'll be hard for me
if
not
she wins
to.
tonight.
If I win tonight, I have to be back here anyway. That would
Right.
It would honestly be a dream come true to be Miss Motorsports. I mean, I didn't have this dream, and I'm not saying I've dreamt about this my entire life because I haven't. But I even said in my interview, I look up to Erin Moody and Taylor Albert. They're my 2 favorite Miss Motorsports, and they're 2 of my very, very best friends.
See, I'm going to show my age here, but I grew up with Mitty Miller. And
Oh,
all that,
I love Mitty. Trust me. Me and her get along so well. I love her to death. She was Miss Motorsports the year I was born. So
You are showing your age.
Yeah. I was 91, right? 91?
91, yeah.
I graduated high school in 91, yeah.
I look up to those girls even though I'm older than them, and it would be absolutely amazing to hold the title and be able to represent myself and with dignity in class and travel to all the if I were to win, I really want to travel. That's my main goal. I want to get to as many tracks as possible. I am traveling.
Yeah.
I'm traveling anyway,
Yeah.
but I want it to be more than that. I really want it. I really want the title to be represented the way it needs to be represented.
Now, in
and
years
I feel
past,
like-
you've been, you've done it for Evergreen.
Yes.
Did you ever do it for the URC sprints?
No.
No. Is it something you would want to do or no?
She has a bigger title.
Yeah, so
Shoot for the stars.
I was Miss Evergreen 2018. That was a lot of fun. I did mostly the tour mod stuff. I did live about 2.5 hours away at the time, so it was difficult for me to get there. I got to, I think, like 9 or 10 shows throughout the year, and that was an experience. That was an awesome experience. But Miss URC, I don't think I would do, just because I'd like another girl to have that opportunity. I have the opportunity to work back in the pits with everybody and get to know all the drivers that way. And I think it would be really awesome for another girl to be that trophy girl. And the thing is, I'm not looking for a crown and a sash. That's not what I'm looking for. I know that I don't need a crown and a sash to represent the sport I love. So I'm not a crown chaser. I don't want that. So.
Well, we had a crown for you, but since you don't want it, we were going to make you Miss RPM podcast.
Woo! I'll take that.
We'll just give it to this Casey now. You're gonna have to wear the crown.
Well, since Eric Brennan has kind of like disappeared, we'll give you the diva crown.
I think this year we will be searching. We didn't have one last year, but I think this year we are going to try and find a Miss URC again to kind of bring that back.
How about a diamond? Do you guys have a Miss Big Diamond?
We don't.
It's something you should look into. I remember when I was a kid at Wall Stadium.
Another takeaway from this conversation I'm actually going to bring up.
I remember when I was a kid at Wall Stadium, they used to do a Miss Wall Stadium, and it was a whole year process where they had a girl entered every year, and she would have her picture in the program, and then at the end of the year they would vote who Miss Wall Stadium is.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I actually thought about asking Diane about doing something like that, but then I was kind of I don't know. It's a lot. It really is a lot. It takes a lot of time and dedication, and you got to be ready to commit to a season. So, but actually, he's leaving. I'm probably got to leave too. And
we're going to go over there. We're going to probably go over there about 6:45, 7
Yep.
o'clock. It's 7:30.
7:30 the pageant starts. I have to be dressed and ready to go by 7 o'clock. So.
Yeah, I know it fills up pretty quick over there.
Yeah,
so
I don't know how the weather has affected it this year. I mean, there seems to be a good amount of people walking around, so we'll have to see. But I'm really excited for this year. I mean, I'm giving it my all. It is my last year. Not that I haven't given it my all in the years past, but I feel a different connection to the title this year than I have in years past. So I'm just hoping to put my best foot forward on stage. You know, I got some sparkly outfits planned, so I'm really excited.
Well, we're going to go over and see it, right, Josh?
Yes.
Yeah, posing on the race car.
I get distracted by shiny things.
Yeah,
so.
yell for me. That would be
You know what,
awesome.
Case? Never say it's going to be your last year, because every year I race, I said it's going to be my last year, and here I am still racing.
I know. I shouldn't say that, and I'm sure next year I'll be feeling the pressure.
He retires as well as Dale Earnhardt Jr.
You're like me, like
at Brett Favre.
At the end of the year, I'm like, that's it, I'm done. But then as soon as that Wall Stadium schedule comes out again, I'm like, yeah, I'm racing again.
Yeah, gotta get in the garage, put the factory stock back together. I've been there, done that, but it does take a lot of time to prepare for this pageant, and a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money.
Actually, Casey, talking a little bit more about the race car aspect of it, what condition is your car in? Because it was pretty damaged.
It is fully put together, has a motor in it that has about 10
Oh, really?
races
They
on
did
it.
repair it?
Yep, my dad, it's sitting in the garage.
I know when you first got into that accident, I think you called Joe McGrath about getting a chassis.
I did, yep.
Did you end up getting a chassis?
We did not. No, my dad straightened my chassis out.
Wow.
He put a new front clip on it.
Porta power?
Literally everything is
Tree and a
put
couple
together. He bought a motor I think he bought a motor from Chris Gall, actually, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's a motor with like 10 races on it. I'm like, Dad, please. But nope, I think he's just using it as like memorabilia at this point. Like,
Okay.
I might as well start putting like Christmas ornaments on it because it's just sitting there collecting dust, unfortunately.
Just wait for him to go on vacation one day, and you and Ryan go over there and just load it up and take it over.
Ryan and I have seriously talked about that. I think we could sell it. The car has a lot of hits on it.
Yeah.
My dad, he said to me, I don't feel comfortable putting you in the car again.
Okay.
Because that car has taken
a lot.
Probably too many hits. So he has said he doesn't feel comfortable. I feel comfortable. I'm ready to go. Like,
what's one more hit?
Put me in, coach. Like,
yeah.
I've been there, done that,
Yeah.
But it's my dad's decision at the end of the day. He was the one who funded me for so long, so I got to respect his opinion, unfortunately. But I mean, I do have a lot of fun with what I'm doing now. I never imagined myself being a dirt girl, and I will never admit that I am a full dirt girl. But I've had a lot of fun, so I'm excited.
It sounds like you're going to have your hands full helping your boyfriend, who is now the president of URC, helping him run that. That's fun too. It's always fun running a racing club. I grew up with that. My father ran the Street Stockers Racing Club, and my mom was like the treasurer.
I'm the treasurer, so
Yeah,
like
perfect.
I'm the lady that pays everybody. So everybody's got to be nice to me.
I've watched my parents do it, so it's pretty cool that you guys are doing it. Well, we'll let you get going, Casey. I know you got to get all ready, and we're going to go over there and watch you.
Thank you, and good luck.
Yell for me really loud because I like to hear that. It gets me pumped up.
But yeah, maybe during the year you can come on and promote the URC stuff. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I mean, let me know. I'm available all the time. Especially for you guys. I'll make time.
All right.
So,
Good
thank
luck
you guys
tonight.
so much.
Bye-bye.